Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Jared, and I host a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. And I'm a socialist, and that means I want everyone to have universal health care, education, income, and housing. And people ask, like, quite dumb questions like, what flavor of socialist are you? And it's just like, what? I'm a syndicalist, which means that I believe in the power of unions. And I think that the path forward includes putting socialists in unions who eventually end up in leadership roles, and then having those people, specifically union leaders, people whose entire livelihoods are built around helping people get better wages and benefits. Those look like great political leaders, do they not? So I'm a syndicalist socialist. And people will make comments about, like, socialism can't work, capitalism is the way. And I wanted to talk today, this video is about how capitalism is an abject failure. Okay, so last night my wife forwards me an ordinance from City of Lawrence. I live in Indianapolis. There's been a water main break. Okay, and there's a water boil advisory where I live. And so, hey, if you live in the Indianapolis area, more specifically the east side, out in Lawrence, this is pertinent. It's especially dangerous to children and the elderly, okay? People who don't go to cityoflawrence.org. And how capitalism is an abject failure is when you go to the Indy Star article, it's restricted to subscribers. And I think that there are certain news stories that are highly important that maybe you don't need to make a buck on. You know what I mean? Especially when there's a water boil advisory in Indianapolis, Indiana, in the city of Lawrence, which is just east of Indy, in Marion County. Okay? So, of course, like, if I need to take a shower or something, I'm fine. But if you're going to consume the water, and again, I tell other people to drink water. You think I don't drink water? Right? So, I'm going to be a little late today because I got to go get water, potable water, right? So we can drink water and not have to boil everything for 5 minutes before we consume it. But again, what I wanted to talk about today, for like fuck everything else that's going on in the world, is that not only is there a water boil advisory, and the people that are most likely to be affected by it, children and the elderly, they don't just go to the City of Lawrence.org website. And so not only is that information not on the Indiana or Indianapolis subreddits, okay? So not only are these stories not floating water boil, anyway, floating to the top of these Indianapolis subreddits, the people that it's going to impact the most are the least likely to know about it. People who either they're too young to know or they're too old to use the technology. And again, I'm making generalizations because they're generally true. And I'm talking about, this is probably not going to directly impact me. I'm getting ready to go to the store and buy clean water, right? Which is fucking insane. But this is what capitalism demands. It demands that even something as fresh water supply be diminished in the name of profit. And you can argue that this is the way it has to be done, okay? But I'm just telling you, where capitalism fails is when that there is an advisory, a health advisory, right? Meaning we know something happens going to affect a large amount of people. We put out this information and say, hey, boil your water before you drink it. And in the advisory, it says, like, these groups of people are the most likely affected. And immediately I'm like, okay, well, they're not getting this information from the fucking org. Where's the news article? And I go pull up the news article, and of course, you got to pay and subscribe to the Indy Star in order to read a link to the cityoflawrence.org notification that the Indy Star wrote is hidden behind a paywall. And the people most likely to be affected by the tainted water supply, the elderly and children wouldn't even have access to the Indy Star, period. So again, and again, I'm a journalist. I absolutely think that journalism is important, but at the expense of what? Lives? That's what that costs. Somebody's gonna get sick and die. Was it worth hiding it behind a paywall? Indy Star? Gannett? Is that what it was worth? I hope it costs you everything. I hope it costs you everything. Probably like a 9:15, 9:30 start this morning. I'll see y'all in a little bit.